Hey, welcome back to the channel. I guess work on big, huge coffee makers now. How's this keep happening? That was dumb. That was dumb. Every tool's a hammer, unless it's a screwdriver, then it's a chisel.
We need a torch. Hate that nut.
We're not doing that. Because it ain't built till it's overbuilt. Don't force it. Get a bigger hammer. Every day's a school day. So, hear me out, okay? There can't be too much wrong with it, right? Here's the deal. Somebody donated this to our church, and before we go putting an outlet in and all that stuff, we wanted to just make sure that it works. So, there's a chance that I don't have to fix anything. It's just going to work. But I gotta, it doesn't have a cord on it or anything. I gotta figure out how it works and how to test it, and it looks like it's a lot of electronical things that can let out their smoke too easy. I don't know. This might not be the best idea. Yeah. Okay, let's just do the thing that I normally do, which is let's start taking it apart and see, what we see. I think that's the best way. Watch me. So quickly found out, first of all, if you're into one of these, this is a Bunn, dual DBC. Oh, look at model. Okay, so inside this front cover here, if you find yourself finding this video because you searched whatever this thing is, there's a full schematic in here. And I had seen that it had L1, L2, and neutral, and a ground. So that means it definitely is 240 volt, which I kind of assumed it was. But when I look in and I see all this delicate looking things here, see, my plan was, I assumed it was probably 220, 240, whatever you want to call it. And I was just going to kind of take a wire temporarily and jam it in the wall over there, because I have 240 outlets for that lathe and for this saw. But with all that delicate, sensitive electronicals, I think that'd be pretty dumb. I don't see where it says anywhere what the full load amperage is. It just says the voltage. I don't dare to do it like that. I'm gonna have to get the right stuff. I'll have to just Google this model number and figure out what the full load amperage is, so I can figure out what size wire I need and what kind of plug. I was thinking I'd use this type of plug, which is what I use right here in my shop, but I'm gonna need a 4-prong plug, because I think it probably is pretty important that I ground the chassis just for safety's sake. So that means I need both my hots and my neutral in here, and then I need a ground. So I need 4 wires, which means I can't really test it here. Oh boy, it's just got more complicated. I probably should really have the full load amperage, so I make darn sure that whatever type of plug I go with is rated for the full chooch of the choochification. Right. Stand by. I'll be back with a plan. All right, here we are. I looked it up online. Full load amps is 26 to 29. So I ended up going with an L1430 plug, which is that style, twist lock. There's not very many plugs rated for 30 amps with 4 conductors. And I needed 10 gauge wire, which it says right on this sticker right here, 10 gauge. But I didn't know, you need to know the amperage to know what plug to spec because they are all different. Yeah, right there. L1430P, that's what that is. So I just ran, this is whatever, type SJ, something cord, stranded copper. I ran the ground, which, because it's stranded copper, there's a point for you right there. You don't want to just take stranded copper and stick it under the washer and tighten it, because 3/4 of the strands are gonna ooze out the side. Take it, put a solderless connector on it, or solder, whatever you want to do, but get a connector on there so that it keeps the copper gathered and you get a good connection with full load carrying capability. Because if half of your strands end up out here in midair, they're not doing anything, or they're not. Hopefully, they never have to do anything, but they're not able to do anything. And if you got to pay for the whole wire, why not use it, right? Another quick point: this unit, you may run into the same thing. It was missing one screw because, you know, the guy that took it apart and took the old cord out, he probably dropped it or didn't care or needed one for the new machine that he bought or whatever. I replaced that with just a set screw. There's not a lot of clearance between this face where the cover goes and that, so you can't stick a long bolt in there. If you did have a bolt sticking out, you certainly wouldn't want it to be one of the hot wires, right? The neutral would be the only one safe if it, you know, incidentally touched this cover. But the point is, don't do that. Just use a set screw. Yeah, okay, it's an Allen instead of a, you know, straight blade screwdriver, but at least it's flush, it doesn't stick out. It's all good. When you put your wires in, make sure that you don't stick the insulation under the screw. So I stripped back a fair bit, probably 3/4 of an inch, and my insulation stops just, I can feel it right there. It's just out of sight, I guess. But it's definitely not under the screw. You don't want to take any chance of tightening the screw onto the insulation rather than the copper wire. Okay, that way you get a good connection. So if you are hooking one of these up, that's my advice. That's the extent of it, really. This should be all ready to test. I'm pretty sure that this is the same plug that I have on the outside of my garage, where I plug my generator in to backfeed and run my house. So if all is good, we'll take it down. I'll plug it in. The water connection on this one anyways, here, let me get you a side look. The water connection is actually just a garden hose thread. So to test it, I can just hook a garden hose to it, plug this thing in, and I should be able to let it run through the motions, make sure everything works before I go to the effort of installing the outlet and all that stuff down at the church. Okay, we're ready to test. Only thing I wanted to do, and like I said, if you found this video because you are working on one of these, I would encourage you to do this before you plug it in the first time. And that is, very simply, put your ohm meter, if you have an ohm meter, between the red incoming wire and the red wire that comes from the master switch. This one has a master switch down here. So what I want to do is verify that switch is off so that I can plug this thing in and it doesn't send power up here until I've had time to test it down, make sure everything looks good. Then I can turn the switch on and send the power up here to the sensitive stuff. So I just wanted to make sure, so that's on, so the switch is off. Now maybe yours won't have a master switch. I think that's an optional thing. It's hidden underneath the side over here. And it's not a huge deal because I tested the outlet to make sure it's wired correctly, and it is, which I would also encourage you to do. But this is just nice to know that when I send power to it, it's only going to go as far as this switch. And I can get in here with the meter and I can test and make sure everything is as it should be before I throw the switch on. And all right, we're ready. I got to run a hose, run a garden hose. Hopefully it doesn't freeze before I get it, flowing. then after I test it, I guess I better get this thing back inside quickly before it freezes. So like I said, the switch is off. I just like to verify voltage here, right? We go red to black. We got 240 volts. And then we can check from the white, which is a neutral. We should have 120, 110, whatever. And then we can check from the red to the neutral. That's just a sanity check to make sure that everything's wired correctly, right? Now they run that power down here to this master switch, and then it comes back up to here. And the neutral pulls off here and goes directly up into the electronics. So the electronics must run at 120 volts. You know, they're probably just grabbing one leg in the neutral. That's why you need to pull a neutral. But the heating elements are going to run 220. Or there's more than one of them possibly, and they each run 110, but they want them on separate legs from the panel. But most likely they run at 220. Heating things is what takes a lot of power. I think it's really funny that they tell you to run 10 gauge wire, and then right above it on the same terminal block, it switches to, what's that, 14 gauge maybe? And the rest of it's all wired with 14, but they're just covering their Badinskis. Okay, so the voltage is good. We're ready to hook up the water, because I don't want to run the heaters dry. I'm going to hook the hose up, freeze my hands off, get to where I can't feel anything, swear a little, and then I'll try it out. Okay, water's on. Let's see what happens. Ooh, look at lights. Ooh, the tank's filling. I know that it has switches here that it knows if these are in or not, and I assume it won't brew coffee without them. Oh, we're back. Took it quite a while to fill. We're just gonna see if it actually heats up. Oh, look. The number's getting bigger. I hit these two here to say brew enable. I don't know if you have to do that to make it heat, or if it just was taking a while, but it's climbing now for sure. In fact, let's turn them back off and see if it keeps. Oh yeah, she's getting hotter. You do not need these on for it to heat up, so must be it keeps the water hot all the time. Unless you turn off this master switch underneath here, that I suppose would. Yeah, that definitely will kill everything. Well, hello, Caffeinalyzer 3000. Welcome back to the land of the living. I think you just... I don't have any coffee in there or anything. I was doing both at the same time. Give her the taxi test. Oh, there's magic happening. Okay, all's well. We're back in my basement lair where it's warm. I just wanted to mention one thing. I just took these apart and cleaned them. First of all, there's really no need to take this top off. It doesn't allow you to really clean anything that you can't clean otherwise. You know, that hole is no bigger with this off than it is right here. So there's that. But also, these were kind of beat up and bent, and these handles were all loose. So I was glad I took the top off. If you take out these 4 screws here, you can easily get at the screws on the bottom that hold these handles on, and you can tighten them up. I put a little Loctite on them, beat out the dents a little bit, and put it all back together. Now they're nice and straight and sturdy-ish. Well, I think we're ready to go down and install that thing. I got to run electricity to it and water to it. But I think the coffee maker itself's ready to go. So my father-in-law is going to help me, and my buddy Louie, and we're going to go down and see if we can have at it. Don't burn the church down. Don't burn the church down. Don't burn the church down. here we are, all done. Look at coffee maker. So we had to come into the panel down here on the side, and we that's right there. And then that wire just runs under the cabinets all the way. All down to here, crosses underneath. And then out here, it's just the big old outlet. And then for the water side of it, we just did one of these. These are slick. They're called Addites, and they go right on to the 3/8 compression. 3/8 compression out both ways, and then we adapted over to this push connect stuff and ran that hose, and it actually just ran right above the drawers all the way down through to there. So to summarize, if you're handy at all, you can certainly handle the water side of this thing. Whether or not you can do the electrical depends on you, right? Maybe you need an electrician, maybe you don't. Maybe the situation's different and it's not this easy. You know, we had a pretty easy hookup here, so it wasn't that bad. But definitely do not skimp on the electrical supply, because you need heavy enough wires. You need the right outlet. You don't want to shortchange yourself and have a fire. But overall, it's not a bad job. Just like that, another job done. And our church is now in the commercial coffee brewing business. That's quite a unit. It makes coffee. I think it's 5.5 minutes to make 3 gallons of coffee. It's pretty cool. So if you got a lot of people to serve, it is the way to go. No question about it. But we're getting a little cold, blustery snow right now, and I'm gonna go home and huddle up next to the wood stove. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate your time. Make sure you click subscribe. Ooh, and I found out what happened to the bell. I always used to say, make sure you click the bell, and I guess there's no bell. Well, here's the deal. You have to click subscribe, and then click it again, and it'll give you all these options, one of which is to unsubscribe. Don't do that, okay? What you want to do is click the one that says all notifications. It has a bell. The bell is there. It's just hidden. Click the one that says something about all notifications or whatever, and then you'll get notified every time I put a new video up. And who would want to miss that? God bless you. God bless the United States of America.